Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited about my guest. I personally have not physically met her, but when I saw her sharing her story through just social media, which I think that their social media can have some advantages, is when you can find the people that just you would never have met had you not just looked. And so I saw what she had posted, and she really I felt like I needed to have her on my podcast. So I'm super excited about her, and hopefully one day we can meet, because I'd love to go to where she lives in Hawaii and connect with her. Her name is Jen Connery, and she is a holistic life coach for high sensitive professional women who live on the Big Island of Hawaii. After overcoming addiction, illness, abuse, single parenthood, and poverty, she rebuilt her life from the inside out, creating successful businesses and raising a wonderful child. Now she helps highly sensitive women manage stress and insecurity with evidence-based tools they can use for their daily life so they can feel calmer, more clear, and make confident decisions, build empowering relationships, and find careers and environments while learning to set boundaries and care for themselves without guilt or shame, so they can live with more peace, purpose, and emotional freedom. I'm super excited to have her here today. Thank you, Jennifer, for saying yes today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
What I'm just reading your bio again, and is just all the things that you went through. I can relate to it so much, and I think that's why we connected. I come from a family of 6 where my mom was pretty much raised us single-handedly. And I have born in poverty and all the things, suffered from a lot of trauma myself. And so I just love for you to share, and you don't have to go into all the details, but what is some of the pivotal moments that got you into what you do today?
Great question. There's been quite a few pivotal moments. I would say one of the biggest was moving to Hawaii and going through divorce. And it was something that, I don't think anybody really foresees that. But what happened through that period of time was that I was left to raise my son, and we had shared custody, luckily. So there was partnership in that half of the week. But the other half of the week, I recognized was a lot. And I was trying to work full time. And I was also going through, I would say, about 10 years of chronic fatigue syndrome. So there was a lot happening for me. And I realized each day kind of became harder and harder. And I knew at some point that I couldn't go on like that. So I had to make a change, and a drastic one. And my goal was to be a present mother, a loving mother, a fun mother. And I was dragging through my days. I could barely show up to work. I was pushing through. So I know a lot of people can maybe recognize themselves in the idea of pushing through just to get to the other side, just to make it through the day, to make it through dinner. And there's a lot of that, especially as mothers, especially as single mothers. So I got to a place where I knew I couldn't continue in that way. And it wasn't the way I wanted to live. It wasn't how I envisioned myself when I moved to Hawaii. I wanted to have a carefree life, a more relaxed life. And it was just the complete opposite from what I imagined. And so I got to a place where I was seeking out help, and I came across a woman who was a medical intuitive. And that struck me because I tried everything else. I tried doctors and dabbled a little bit with naturopaths. But when I came across her profile, I knew there was something special there. And I assumed that she was going to be able to look inside me and heal me, and everything was going to be perfect. What ended up happening, though, from that experience was that I got this intuitive reading. And the intuitive reading was more around looking at the emotional side of what was causing the physical ailments, the struggle, the strife, the anxiety, the fatigue, all of these things. And I was so enamored with the process, I jumped into her 2.5 year clairvoyant training program and became a certified clairvoyant trainer, healer, excuse me, and reader. And so it was a phenomenal program. And it was just the starting point to my healing journey, allowing me to be able to look inside other people and look at the emotional components that were interfering with their peace, their happiness, their goals, their dreams. And it's kind of like seeing something in somebody that they're not necessarily able to see for themselves. And it's a pretty phenomenal practice. And it was the beginning of my journey into healing and resilience.
So that's really interesting. And I really would love to know, like, what does that really involve? I mean, that sounds super interesting. And
Mm.
it's like, how do you go into the process where you're seeing and hearing and or just feeling? And is some of that healing process from all the illnesses you're dealing with, is some of the emotional stuff that we may have dealt with or the trauma we dealt with as as our inner child, or is it, something that would happen later in life? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So when I had the reading and when I was going through the program, we would take turns reading within ourselves. Um, and basically everybody would get the opportunity to read. So every single week we'd have partnerships. And what would show up around the fatigue and the anxiety and all of these things predominantly was in this life. So we would look at, what are the root components that are, these interference pieces to why I feel the way I do. And so, mom would come up, or dad, or, the lack of feeling loved or heard, or any abuse whatsoever, which basically ties into, your self-esteem at a very young age. Then here we are, growing up as adults, carrying all these beliefs, trying to do our best to unravel everything that we learned, felt, experienced as children, and trying to believe in the opposite, which takes time, a lot of healing and perseverance and self-awareness, emotional intelligence, all those things. So through the process, we would kind of get a sense of looking into each other's spirit. It's almost like what I like to call an energetic x-ray, to where you're looking into that person's spirit, or connecting, I should say. And we all have the ability to kind of tap into this realm, with enough quietness, with enough groundedness. We do have the ability, and we have the ability to do it for ourselves. Sometimes it comes out in dreams for ourselves. So it's almost like active dreaming in a sense, or lucid dreaming. And you're tapping into that person's spirit. And so somebody presents a question to you. Why why do I feel so torn in this area? Or, why am I having emotional issues with my partner? What's going on here? We can't get along. An example of that. And then looking into, the energy of what's happening for them, what's happening for the couple, and where are they kind of living in strife. And so you start to see visions and pictures, kind of like you're looking at a storybook or a movie. And so it turns into this movie of their life, and there's a lot of metaphors that come up, symbology, and you start to make sense of what it all means. Well, it looks like your spirit is craving X, Y, and Z, or it looks like you're experiencing this and feels a little heavy for you right now. And what you're really needing that, could turn things around is maybe the next, vision I would see would be a book, or the two in couples counseling, or going for more walks or exercising or having that difficult conversation, loving yourself more, and reminding yourself. So all these little solutions would start to come in, and so I was able to heal a lot of the trauma, speak up for myself with parents, with people, in ways that I never was able to. And it was almost like this part of you starts to emerge where you can no longer settle. You no longer settle. You're no longer willing to think of yourself in that way. And you start to begin to cultivate this sense of self and deep love and compassion, and just, yeah, a broader idea of what's happening for you. Yeah.
I think that that's so interesting.
Mhm.
I love that you shared that. And as you go through these things, the way that, the way that I interpret it is that you learn how to set boundaries for yourself and learn that maybe things that, you always said yes to certain things, or you were always like the yes person and you drop everything to go and help people out. You've learned to, and maybe that's because you felt like you just wanted to be loved or needed or things like that. And you learn how to set those boundaries so that, and even if it's hard and people stop talking to you because they always want you to be the yes sir, yes ma'am, yes, yes sir, whatever, you're starting to set those boundaries and you just feel better about who you are because you're at peace.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It's calling back your peace, your time, your energy. And yeah, and it gets easier. It gets easier as we do this work, as we have these difficult conversations. And the more we love ourselves, the more less fear we have around disappointing others. And it's a process, yeah, but worth
And
it.
and so as you've done all this healing work and you started doing the healing work and then you became certified or, started, becoming a teacher of the same thing. Um, how has that helped your chronic illness and all of these things that you were facing?
Yeah, I would say, I had experienced the chronic fatigue for about 10 years. And then through the process of that program specifically, I think it was maybe about a year and a half, I started feeling a difference. Slowly but surely, I started having days of energy. And they surprised me. I'd be like, oh my God, I actually feel really good. And I would push myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, everything needs to get done because I finally feel good. And so I'd go out and do a lot of things. And it was gradual. But I would say it took probably a good year and a half, 2 years, and then getting myself into a more peaceful living situation, which made a huge difference. More rest, better sleep, more peace of mind, eliminating, people and relationships over time. And I'd say, at about the 2.5 year, 3 year mark, I would go more days than not having energy. And then it got to a place of, every 3 months I would, have little bouts of fatigue that would last 2 days, and then I get over it. And over time, over the last few years, those just dissipated. So once in a while, I'll kind of hit a slump, but it might be for a day like a normal person would have. So it's radically changed everything. I mean, this work I have, looking at the components between mind and body, it has been, my life's passion. And a lot of us have heard of, the idea around the body keeps the score, and all these pioneers who've come before us, who've studied trauma, psychologists and doctors who have dedicated their lives to understanding the mind and body components. I'm just really fascinated with. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. And that's kind of what I've been feeling too, as I've been going through my own healing and going through things. It's like, when you are like really stressed out in your life and all of these things, your body does keep the score, and you get the flare-ups and the pain and all these other things. And it could be something, maybe even something that triggered you, that from a memory or a child, something that happened as a child, or it just in life, or with a relationship with somebody. And I think that that's really important. And I love that you're doing this, and it's all holistically. You're not like, a lot of days when you go to a doctor and you say that I'm suffering from X, Y, and Z, first thing they do want to do is they want to give you a medication, and that's not, they're just putting a band-aid on the problem, and so you're helping with the deeper healing and things like that.
Right, right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people experience that, right? Where they're going through,
Your pro
whether it's women going through, hormonal issues or fatigue, and then just not getting the answers. And I see it all day long in our Facebook groups, just women who are suffering, not getting the answers that they need from Western, the typical Western style of medicine, and recognizing there is the deeper work we all need to be doing. And I mean, I too have days, just recently, in fact, working in a corporate job that I'm about to leave due to the stress and anxiety of what it's bringing up. And yeah, went through a few weeks of really bad fatigue. And what was fascinating, I'll share this, was that there was a moment, the moment I decided, you know what, I have an exit strategy, I have a plan, I don't have to settle anymore, I can get off the hamster wheel. It was like I got the best night's sleep and woke up early, feeling refreshed, feeling excited, feeling hopeful. And it was just amazing how the chemistry in my body was able to shift just from, feeling more hope, feeling more joy, having a purpose. And it's just amazing, what we're really capable of. It's fascinating.
I
Yeah.
love that you share that, and I find that a lot, is that once we make the decision, and that's the thing, like when we make that decision, what I think, what the phrase of the word, or the digestion of the origin of the word is, decide means to kill off. So once we make a
Mhm.
decision, we're making, like, we're going to go this one way. It helps and relieve so much stress. But the problem is we are so fatigued trying to make that decision, and so we really need to be, proactive. And when we decide something, our thought comes, and we're like, oh, should I buy the house, or should I, do this, or should I do that? Whatever the decision is, should I end this relationship, or whatever it is, we need to really, like, once that thought comes in, we need to really sit with that thought and not dwell on it for years or months or whatever it is. And that way we're at peace. And I think that that's so
Yeah.
important as well. So I think that I love that you shared that once you made that exit strategy. So tell us a little bit about what your process was when you went through to do this.
Sure. Um, So I'd say it was about a month ago. I've been in this job for about 5.5 months now. 5 months. And it's an industry I typically wouldn't have chosen for myself, but I saw it as possibility. So it's a timeshare industry. Great company, great management, all of that. So everything was going great. And then I started hitting a wall, and the numbers weren't what I needed in order to make a living. The stress started accumulating more and more, and I kept pushing myself. I kept fighting. I kept, like a lot of us do, I kept trying, putting in 1,000%. And I started recognizing I was just being drained. My days off weren't even mine anymore. I was dwelling on numbers, the stress of, am I going to pay rent? And so I'd say over the course of about 2 months, I started getting into, I don't know if this is going to work out. So had started having these conversations with management, and they were supportive, and they kept trying, and telling me I was doing great, but it wasn't where I needed to be. Ideally, I felt like they could have told people, you're going to need a buffer, a financial buffer before starting this job. So that wasn't expressed to me. So I'm, meanwhile, trying, pushing. And I started dropping hints to management. I said, if I can't make X, Y, and Z amount of money, then I'm going to have to start, considering something else for myself. And I will do this as long as I possibly can. And a lot of us question, well, what is that, as long as you possibly can? And we'll push through past that point. And I think it got to the point where, this summer is a pivotal chapter in my life. My son's about to leave for college. I've got 3 months, 2.5 months with him. And I said to myself, I'm not going to spend it in this way. I'm missing life. I'm missing moments. I'm missing my health. I'm missing my peace. And something in me was like, Okay, but now what? And so there's always been these ideas to start my own. I have a few side businesses. One is a concierge here on the Big Island and helping tourists book activities and have a great vacation and give them recommendations. And I do it really, really well. And so I recognized that that was something that came naturally for me. And I needed to put in a little work. So I hired a coach, which I am a huge proponent of because I don't know if I could have pushed through on my own. She was there when I needed support. So we started taking baby steps. And she says, okay, well, what amount would you need in order to make a living to be able to leave? What would you need to have in place? So over time, I started putting these things in place. I had, a few part-time jobs. And to me, I honor flexibility in a work environment. And that was my way of going, I need out of this stressful 9 to 5. I need some more flexibility. I need to work for myself a little more. So I created that. And it's amazing because when you set your intention on something and you wholeheartedly believe it, want it, and it's aligned and it feels good and soft and light, the universe conspires for us. It really does. And I started, putting in a little effort, obviously, a lot of effort, making phone calls, asking for referral relationships, and just inquiring and doing the footwork that was needed, going on interviews, and getting all of this, doing all these steps. And, I just started seeing yeses everywhere, everywhere. And that's when I knew it was the right change. People just started coming into my life. I would bring up the idea of a referral partnership in this arena or in that arena, and people were like, yes, let's talk. Yes, let's talk. I love that idea. And so that's what, eventually got me to that other side of, okay, it's time. And so I put in my 2 weeks ago, well, a week and a half ago. So I've got a week to go. And it's a huge relief. It's a huge relief to know we don't have to stay stuck, that we do have choices. Yeah.
I love that you said that you hired a coach. I think everybody needs a coach because they're the ones that, are going to push you in a good way, but they
Yeah.
make you think about things that you wouldn't have thought about. I have a coach as well. And that's one of the first things that she said to me was, well, what is the numbers you need to make? And, I'm just like you, I work a corporate job, but I also have these side businesses. And, the goal is to make the side businesses, the full-time businesses, but also offer flexibility. And I love the way that you shared, that you can do a little bit of part-time, like a few part-time jobs and have flexibility instead of being tied to something where the long hours and things like that. And then when you figure out the numbers, you can be intentional. And it does take work. You have to sit down. It's not like everybody's just going to drop down and say, oh yeah, I'll be your customer, but it does take being intentional. And when you're intentional and you're pure, and I love the way that your face lit up when you talked about that, I can't say the word, right? The concierge type business that you provide.
Yeah.
I love the way that you said that your face just lit up. And that was like, and when you find joy in what you do, and then it feels like you're not working at all,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about it. And so tell me about all the things that, you have you're even doing the coaching, all the things that you do and what services you provide to women, the woman out there who is struggling to find what they need to do or who they need to be, or they're just so drained. What do you provide for them?
Yeah. So when clients first come in the door and they have a myriad of symptoms of, just not happy or stuck, but can't find the momentum, or they're just anxious all the time. It presents in a few different ways, especially for highly sensitive women. Sometimes they just have a lot.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Feeling overwhelmed by endless to-do lists and constant distractions? You're not alone. Many professionals and entrepreneurs struggle with never-ending tasks that spill into personal time, difficulty prioritizing what's truly important, a lack of clear structure in their daily routines. Well, let me introduce you to your Unlock Your Time Potential program, an 8-week coaching program designed to help you reclaim your time and boost productivity. What you will gain is proven strategies to manage your day effectively, techniques to eliminate distractions and stay focused, tools to align your daily actions with your long-term goals. Ready to take control of your time?
Join the waitlist today and be the first to know when enrollment opens. Don't miss the opportunity to transform your productivity and achieve your goals. Check out the link in the summary notes. So what would you tell the women? I mean, you have all these things, you have your concierge business and all the things, and you also, have this with the coaching of women and coaching of the people, coaching people, the struggling woman who's so drained in all the things. So tell me a little bit about what the services you provide so that they can, the woman out there right now who's struggling could relate to you and wants to go out and reach out to you. What would you help her do?
Sure. So what I help my clients do is I tend to really love working with the highly sensitive women, highly sensitive professional, stressed out women who have a hard time saying no to other people, who tend to be yes people, the yes women, those who are afraid of speaking their truth, speaking their minds, tend to get walked over a little bit, maybe are afraid to speak up, whether it's in the office, at home, in relationships with children, with parents, who just have a hard time saying what's on their mind and recognizing that it's starting to deplete them. They take on too much. They don't know how to rest. They feel guilty when they do rest. They're just kind of in this hyper vigilant mode all the time, and their nervous system is just on high alert. So there's always this underlying sense of anxiety, maybe slight depression in there too, feeling a little stuck, a little hopeless. And so what I help women do is I slowly but surely I would say about 8 different tools that I have been trained in, that I have studied around emotional regulation. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's just a way of easing your body to feel safe, to feel more relaxed, to feel less stressed, so that we can begin to make decisions. And when we can get the body and the mind to just go for just 30 minutes, then it's amazing. So all of a sudden, solutions start to appear, clarity starts to appear, decision making feels easier. Speaking up for ourselves isn't as scary. So when we bring in these tools, the body needs to know it's safe before it can make any decision possible. And once we have the mind in order and working with mindset, so I work a lot with the mind-made sense of self and belief systems, self-esteem belief systems, insecurity, all of that little voice that tells you you're not good enough, that everybody else can do it better, that why even try, that it's not that bad, that voice that continuously keeps us stuck. I work really, really deeply with those limiting beliefs. And then once we get the beliefs in order, then we work in the emotional regulation. The two are pretty much coinciding. Once the body feels safe, the brain feels like, yes, I got this, I can do it. Then we start to take action. So it's a 3-tiered approach that I take: body, mind, and action. And I do it in a very deliberate way. It's always personalized. I record all of my sessions and techniques so people can go back, have access to them, utilize them in between their day, even sometimes at work. So very tangible results and very practical tools. So a lot of times, when we're doing these meditations, I always get asked, well, how do we bring that into everyday life? So I create these tools to help people in the middle of a workday, in the middle of a fight, in the middle of driving, to where you can actually start to feel a sense of calm again, and in just a few minutes. So it's a beautiful techniques that I've discovered and created and helped a lot of my clients through. And I'm excited to share them. I've seen some radical results from a lot of what I've done with my clients, such as helping students graduate, get focused, get committed, be able to walk away from relationships, be able to walk into relationships, create more autonomy, move into jobs that people never thought they would believe in or get hired for. So a myriad of different things, and just all over self-love. So deep self-appreciation, self-love, and a sense of just relaxation and calmness that people can take into everyday life.
I love that. I know that there are so many people out there who need this. Is your program a one-on-one, or is it a group type of program?
Yeah, so I have two different programs. I have a one-on-one program and I have a group program. My group program is predominantly focused around creating boundaries and speaking up for ourselves. So there's a few steps for that it takes. And I do it in a group because it's first a lot funner, and then we get that practice time with each other to learn how to share what's on our minds and hearts in a way that's safe, in a safe container. So once we feel safe, we can actually go out and put it into action in real time and have these conversations and feel a lot, more relaxed doing it. So, yeah.
Well, I love that. And as we wrap up, I mean, you have so many things that somebody can reach out to you for. I mean, if they want to go to Hawaii and want the ultimate destination, you're the person to go to. If they want to, like you said, have that woman who is stressed out, all the things that that high entrepreneur woman or the executive woman or any of those who are just struggling, you can help them as well. And is there anything else that you do, any other services that you provide?
Yeah, I also provide meditation services. So those who have been interested in just more relaxation techniques, learning how to implement those in their daily life. I do one-on-one guided meditations. I also have weekly group meditations that I offer as well. So if you've always wanted to learn how to meditate or you've tried meditating and it hasn't worked, my approach is more guided. So it's relaxing, soothing, and uplifting. And I teach my students how to kind of change around mood, change around mindset, fill themselves up with just a little bit more of what they feel is missing, or just give themselves a sense of relief through the week, which I know we all need. So, yeah.
I love everything that you're sharing. I mean, you are just a plethora of things, and I think that's so exciting. And that's why you have joy, though. There's a lot of things you can do, and you have found the way that also find joy in helping others and I think that's amazing. One of the things, though, before we wrap up, because I'll make sure I have all your links and stuff like that so people can connect with you. I always love to ask people, like, what is something that my listeners can do today to take action? Maybe a quote, an action they can take, reading a book. What is something they can do today in order to refine and shine?
Sure. Well, one of them that comes to mind is downloading my free ebook. So I have a free ebook on how to create boundaries without feeling guilty. And this is a step-by-step approach that people can start today. And, reading through a few examples in this ebook, it's going to give you the tools to be able to learn how to communicate better, or just to understand the idea around communication with somebody, understanding, what tends to get in our way when we want to have difficult conversations, and be honest and open with people. And it's a step-by-step guide to really allow you to step fully into who you are, who you're here to be, and be able to speak from your heart without feeling ashamed and feeling proud and empowered to do so. So I would encourage everybody to go ahead and click the link that Angelina is going to be providing to you guys for this free ebook, and learn a few tools in there. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to book a discovery call with me, and I'd love to chat with you further.
I love that. And I definitely will have that in the show notes as well, just so, definitely provide that. And I always encourage people, if there's a free discovery call, it doesn't hurt to just to see what that person's about. I mean, it's like we watch all these commercials, and it's basically we just see the commercial, but we don't interact with, the people that we could actually ask the right questions, and maybe it ties into a very good coaching opportunity that can help you go to the next level. It just takes you taking that first step. Download the book and look at the website and her website that will be provided, and just get that call with her as well. I think that's so important. Well, I thank you for being such an amazing guest, and I cannot wait for my listeners to connect with you and all the things that you have coming up. And I just would love to follow up with you in a couple of months and just see what you got going on, because I know that you are not done. You have so much you're putting together, and I would love to have just have you on as a guest again.
Thank you so much, Angelina. Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.